We're live. I'm 14 minutes late. Don't know if anybody's out there tonight. Good goodness. 14 minutes late. Anybody out there? We're talking Gonzo conspiracies tonight. Actually, we're living in a Gonzo conspiracy called the Corona. Those jokes are gone now, huh? The Bud Light virus, the Corona. Hey, I've got two listeners. It's Friday night. Oh, I lost one. We're going to be endlessly talking about Gonzo conspiracies tonight. I'll try not to make them offensive as to get thrown off of here. Let's do it. Let's do it. We've been talking about weird stuff all week, and it's Friday night, so we're getting to the apex. It's 8:15 Eastern Standard Time. New shades for tonight. How's everybody doing? Everybody jump in. List your Gonzo conspiracies. Sorry, getting off to a slow start here. Anybody out there? Jump in the chat. It's time. It's time to get Gonzo. I think I'm getting that from Hunter S. Thompson, chairman of the Freak Party. Oh, they look just like the blue ones. These are my white ones. The name of this brand is Murray's. Let's get the weirdness going. So we're going to be endlessly talking about Gonzo conspiracy stuff, and where should we begin? With the Assassins. Assassins. Of course, there's a video game, Assassin's Creed. I haven't played it. I did see that movie with Michael Fassbender. Fassbender? Yeah. The Assassins is an old European name for the Ismaili sect of Islam. Their leader was Aga Khan. The name assassin itself derives perhaps from Hassan Isaba. Hassan Isaba. He's the founder of the Order of Assassins. If you check out the book Rule by Secrecy by Jim Morris, which is a classic, he speculated that they made contact with the legendary Knights Templar. I don't know. Or maybe he didn't, but I believe he did. Let's continue. Or the name assassin may actually derive from the word hashish. The Ismaili sect, the Ismailis, they used a form of mind influence to psych up their guys in the order. Because as you might expect, the Order of Assassins, they handle a lot of assassinations. It's pure speculation, in my opinion, but they may have utilized Sufi dancing very fast while using cannabis. Thus, there's one or two things that could happen. You reach a higher mystical state, you get in a panic attack and pass out. Therefore, I think they might say you don't have the stuff to be Hassan. In any case, as you might expect, they're very feared and very legendary. They sort of remind me of the Thuggy group out of India. They did battle with the British soldiers, but that's a story for another time. Back to the Assassins. Anybody on this enjoying this first? The first part of our Conspiracy Gonzo night is to talk about the Assassins. So the recruits entered the Garden of Delights in paradise. So they were of course believed that Hassan was a man that could lead them into heavenly delights. They were skilled at becoming so-called sleeper agents. And they would penetrate other groups that needed to be penetrated and assassinated. So if they saw any leader moved against their leader, Hassan, they would assassinate them. He is allegedly credited with the very awesome and majestic and mysterious and very frightening phrase that Hassan allegedly uttered on his deathbed. That is, that nothing is true, all is permitted, which I often get it mixed up with the Aleister Crowley quote. They use it in the beginning of the movie Naked Lunch, directed by David Cronenberg. William F. Burroughs, and that's because William F. Burroughs brought that into he used it in a lot of his artwork of his works. We were talking about Burroughs last night. So we're talking about the assassins. That's Gonzo conspiracy. Anybody out there? Oh shit! I don't think we're going to get anybody in this. I'll keep rapping. Next person to talk about after Ihsani Saba is of course Hiram Abith. If you're in the Freemason, you know who he is. He's the master builder guy. So if you meet a fellow Mason, they'll usually say something to the effect. They will definitely say, "Are you the widow's son?" He's the builder of the Temple of Solomon, or Solomon's builder, the legendary temple, which some say will return soon and rise up. The greatest magician in history is considered to be Solomon. But the father of the Freemasonry is this Hiram Abith. The Solomon's Temple, as I was talking about previously, Kenneth Grant's Ninth Gate book, or I think that's the title of it. The Ninth Arch. Yeah. The Solomon's Temple contains all the magic secrets. The key to everything secret. Within its Gnostic architecture. Gnostic, that just means nous, knowledge. Is it an allegorical story? I don't know, but Hiram Abith, by the Brotherhood of the Freemasons, we say he was killed by three sort of thieves. Jabello, and Jubellum, which if you see the movie, God, Johnny Depp, the Jack the Ripper one, it escapes me. You say those three men, it almost sounds like and Probably the highest order of the Mason world is the Ordo Temple Orientalis, if I'm saying it right. Crowley was in that. Aleister Crowley, Jack Parsons, the missile expert, and Kenneth Grant, the author, who is, I understand, his tenure as the outer master of that organization was very disputed for some reason. What is the name of that movie? Wait a minute. Let me get this. Anybody, jump in the chat. From Hell. Also, that's a graphic novel by Alan Moore, who he himself is a master occultist guy. From Hell, 2001, American horror thriller. Directed by the Hughes brothers. It's about Jack the Ripper, but it has a heavy Freemasonic theme. Robbie Coltrane is good. You don't fuck with Special Branch, they fuck with you. Some people think it was Sir William Gull, the Freemason doctor, who did the Ripper killings. He ushered in a new age. Whitechapel Police Inspector Frederick Aberline, a brilliant yet troubled man. Aberline deduces that Freemason influence is definitely present in these crimes. High-ranking Freemason himself that makes direct intervention and suspends Aberline. It's revealed that Gull is the killer. He's been killing the witnesses to painter Albert Sickles' forbidden Catholic marriage to Crook, Prince Albert, grandson of the reigning Queen Victoria. They have to give the woman who was some kind of witness a lobotomy, if I remember correct. From Hell. The graphic novel is just as interesting as the movie. Ian Holm, who just passed away, does play the main character, or the main enemy. Ian Richardson. Shakespearean actor who's incredible. I guess he passed away in 2007. He did play Sherlock Holmes. Didn't know that. He was also in Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. And Dark City. He's one of the more interesting characters in Dark City by a long shot. I think his best thing he ever did was he played the Prime Minister, and it's not going to really show me on the... it might have been To Play the King or something. House of Cards. Did they also have House of Cards? Is that the one with the... At the end of Margaret Thatcher's tenure. Yeah, he plays the Prime Minister. That is really good. And, of course, he's in the original Tinker Tailor. Oh, I've got one viewer. Who are you in the chat? Jump in there. Say something. I plan to be on a long time tonight, but maybe if nobody jumps in. The Brotherhood, The Secret World of the Freemasons by Stephen Knight. I think largely influenced that movie from hell, perhaps. Certainly Alan Moore, who wrote it, I'm sure he looked into that. I have done a video on here of the P2 Lodge of Italy. Who was a different type of Freemasonry lodge. Kind of thought of as a fascist one, I guess. Literally everybody high up in the Italian government was in that P2 lodge, and I did make a slideshow video of it. Actually, I will get it in here. I made a creepy one. A certain amount of people have looked at it. Propaganda do. We've got one watching. Crap. I'm live. Stash Prada P2. Nah, it's not coming up. You may have noticed I just have an absolute ton of but I found my 22 tunnels of set one revisited. So I'm going to put that in the chat. I haven't written in there. Associated with that propaganda, too, was the death of banker Roberto Calivi, tied to the Vatican Bank. So, typically we think of the Freemasons as hating the Catholics, but there was some kind of strange connection involved. Calivi was found hanging on the Blackfriars Bridge. And it shook the world. There's a book called God's Banker. I'll be talking more about that. Let's see if it comes up now. Oh, that sucks. I've got a lot of weird videos, I'll tell you. Yeah, I hate that. Doesn't really come up for me. I want to put my own thing in the chats. I'd even delete this thing. Nobody's on. One thing I like is I have mostly guys listening, so I don't have to worry about looking like shit. Okay, so I'm putting in an Illuminatus trilogy one that talks about this. Friday night. Oh, no wonder people went out and did something. I'm going to make a note of this. I might not be doing these on Friday because nobody's around. So we were talking about the Calivi affair. There's another book by a Larry Gerwin. By the way, they covered this in the old the old Wall Street Journal used to be awesome. They used to get into some of these. They used to get into some shit that you're not really supposed to talk about. And now the new Wall Street Journal, I think, is not as cool. The Kalevi affair. Kalevi joined the P2 Brotherhood, a secret society within the Grand Orient Lodge of Egyptian Freemasonry, because he believed that P2 held the keys to economic and political power in Italy. I'm kind of talking about this because a guy just commented on my P2 video. He had connections to Paul the Gorilla Marcinkus, who was a bodyguard. He made his way up to bishop, I believe. Kalevi became involved with the mafia, the CIA, and the KGB. Because of his ties to the Vatican, he was called God's banker. I strongly recommend that book if you're into some deep shit. I like talking about that. I'm unprepared to do so, but tomorrow night I'm going to go and do this again and hope I get people. Going to be going into the priority of Sion. So he had ties to all the stuff, God's banker. The day he hung himself, or was hung in London, his secretary threw herself or was thrown from a window of the Banco Ambrosia in Milan. Whoa. Wonder why they haven't done a movie on this. Very weird. I'm not prepared to talk about the priority of Sion tonight. Or Charles Fort. I've talked about him before. I had some really boring ones, like Colonel House. He was allegedly the secret behind President Wilson. What is this? Oh, I'm talking Gonzo conspiracies. Like the P2 propaganda fascist, allegedly fascist, I think it's fascist, Lodge, that conspiracy. You ever heard that one? I got a video on it. And God's banker, Roberto Kalevi. Huge banker tied to the Vatican. What are those? Conspiracy, Gonzo, bullshit talk. Mysteries. Oh, cool. How are you? I was talking about the movie From Hell. That's a good one. Also a comic book by Alan Moore. From Hell. Movie. Johnny Depp. Comic by Alan Moore. Cool. I know I am too. Friday night. I also was talking about the assassins. You may or may not know that the assassins, some people say that they derive that name from hash, or the hash assassins. The use of spinning like a whirling dervish and getting high and being influenced by the master. The lore behind that is on Right Ring Talk Radio that Islamic people kill people thinking that they will go to heaven with the virgins. I think that lore goes more to the assassins. Also, that William S. Burroughs, author of Naked Lunch, used to love to use that saying in front of his stuff. If you see the movie directed by David Cronenberg, it's at the beginning of the film. Nothing is true, everything is permitted. And the propaganda do lodge Very interesting. I did one of my paranoid slideshow videos. It really doesn't mean anything unless you've really read the books. But I give that feeling like I put newspaper articles floating by and pictures. You know, if you've read the book. Another interesting Gonzo conspiracy thing is simply the book, The Crying of Lot 49 by Thomas Pinchon. Thomas Pinchon never does interviews. His movie Gravity's Rainbow, I tried to do a couple of talks on. It's one of the most fucked up books you ever read. So the book Crying of Lot 49 tries to get the reader to get paranoid. The plot concerns a lady named Oedipa Maas, who is an appointed executor of the estate of a fabulously rich former lover, who was also a compulsive practical joker. In attempting to handle the financial details of this estate, Oedipa stumbles again and again on evidence of an international conspiracy many centuries old. But in every case, she remembers or tries to remember that this may be the last and most elaborate prank of her dead paramour. Tricksters, pranksters. Oedipa Maas faces the kind of challenge on virtually every page of the novel. So it deals with a lot of paranoia. A link from the Yoyodyne. That's Yoyodyne. Links from the Yodyne lead back to the Tristero, Tristero, the postal system of the Middle Ages. The postal system of the Middle Ages. A web spinning around the Bavarian Illuminati, which is never mentioned by name, and a strange clue taken from dialogue from an old radio show, The Shadow, which starred Orson Welles. I think The Shadow was huge. No one knows, but The Shadow knows. I want to do more podcasts and stuff like that because I am of the mind that the podcast is huge and that radio shows will make a comeback because there's too much shit to stare at. So that means my blogging thing is stupid. But I imagine people don't look at my face. I mean, don't you put my ugly face down in your taskbar and just sort of listen? I don't know. Am I building up a following or what? I don't know. Atmeyer, how'd you find my thing, man? Just at random? Have you seen some of my weird YouTubes or whatever? I don't know. You don't have to answer. The whole coronavirus has made everything fucked up. Of course, sorry for the use of language. You may or may not notice, have you noticed that people wear masks in the fantastically, Mr. Robot. Mr. Robot, they were wearing masks for some reason. Don't know why. Looking through my notes here. Yeah, Mr. Robot. A huge TV show. Let me cut. Yeah, that's absolutely. They're wearing a mask similar to what we all have to wear now. A lot of them at random. And on the Reddit message boards, people were talking about it. Yeah. I don't know why I can't even call up that video. Ridiculous. The one I did. Because I've been speaking a lot about Propaganda 2 tonight. It's making me angry. Okay, P2. I've got it here. Okay. I'm going to get it right in here. Cool, I'm glad. It's good that you know nothing. This is interesting. This is the strange secret society Freemasonry thing that I made a video of. I also did one of Club 45. Club 45 was an occult secret society in Vienna. You know, I find the only way people will look at your YouTube is if you have obscure topics, because what are you going to do? Talk about Beyonce? But he knows Beyonce. Or whatever. Madonna. Okay, so Club 45 is the Austrian Masonic club that got involved with a lot of hanky-panky shenanigans. Club 45. A long time ago, the famous pop star Falco, Rocky Amadeus, he did a song called Vienna Blut, of which he criticized Club 45. So I made a couple of weird YouTubes saying perhaps that Falco, Rocky Amadeus, Doc Commissar, and among other things, made fun of them. So I said maybe he got killed by them. And this once in a while, people from Austria go, come on, and give me a comment like, cut it out. It's bullshit. Oh yeah, I'll get that one. Okay. So I made scary videos. Oh, I got 7 up and 7 down. 7 down is bad, I think. If I got 7 up, that's 7 up, 7 down. That means the video is considered bad, I guess. I don't know. Falco. Killed. Vienna Blut. From 45. So he made a song about it, and he has a Napoleon thing, and he's doing his Freemasonic thing, which they have a thing like this. They put their hand kind of in the breast pocket. So, or they might go like that. It means it's a Freemason thing. And a famous criminal who I'm obsessed over, who I will be doing a long podcast on, Serge Kierhofer, otherwise known as Udo Proch, otherwise known as some other names, major figure in Austrian crime lore and espionage. He had a famous picture in a Napoleon outfit going like that, and it looks like Falco's making fun of him in the video Vienna Blood. This is so obscure, Ackmeyer. Nobody knows what I'm talking about. But we have the pop singer Falco making fun of the secret society Club 45 that was located on the 2nd floor above the Cafe Damel, which is the most famous coffee shop in Europe, probably. The Royal Confectionery or Cake Coffee Shop of the Kings of Austria. Cafe Dama. Upstairs was the secret society Club 45. There was murder associated with it, and I believe a man, probably more of a liberal guy or a muckraker person, was killed. People believe that it was tied to Club 45, and Falco did the song. Vienna Blood. He also did a very controversial series of songs, Jenny, which had to do with trying to go be a movie star or rock star as a beautiful young girls and getting killed. Jenny, quit living on dreams. Jenny, life is not what it seems. Next up, we're going to talk about language as conspiracy. And this is something that's today, because everything is these language words that trigger people on the left and the right, dialectically speaking, and it controls people. The isms. You can't talk about it. A lot of the stuff I talk about on this channel definitely seems to, and this is a lot of Gonzo conspiracy stuff. The father of it is Robert Anton Wilson, author of the Illuminatus trilogy and a lot of stuff. He was some kind of genius. Hey, Liz is on. Yeah, now we're talking. Liz, we've been talking about the assassins tonight. We've been talking about the Propaganda 2 Lodge of Italy, secret society of Italy tied to the Vatican Bank of Roberto Calibi, who was found hanging dead at the Blackfriars Bridge many years ago. It terrified Europe. He was connected to the secret society P2 Lodge, and he was connected to the Vatican Bank. And there's a book called God's Banker on Calibi, and of course a video that I did. Then we moved on to talk about Club 45, the secret society at Cafe Damo in Austria. That was more of a left-wing one, I think. But nevertheless, they were control groups. At this very second, wow, a witness. Pedro's here, Elizabeth is here. That's awesome. You helped your friends. Vote for Pedro. Now we're talking about language as control. Anyway, the reason why I'm talking about Robert Anton Wilson, the Illuminatus trilogy, he was some kind of genius. In the Gonzo world, I guess, of the more kind of, weird conspiracy stuff in terms of humor, the Church of the Subgenius, Reverend Stang, Discordiism, all that stuff. Robert Anton Wilson, it was fascinating. He's the Tolkien of weirdness. And he was a huge fan of Philip K. Dick. I think that they're equal to me, pretty much. Love their writing. But because of his body of work and more able to be, of course, adapted to movies and things like that, Philip K. Dick is, of course, more of a giant. Chiefly because of the Blade Runner. But anyway, Robert Anton Wilson was a huge fan of Count Korbieski. His last name is Korzybski. I didn't even know that one. Is that an Anton Wilson thing? Yeah. I was going to get the Ishtar one on Kindle, but I didn't have the dough. Illuminatus trilogy is a favorite, legendary, underground hit. Korbieski said, a more radical discovery on language is that our perceptions and conceptions, reality tunnels, are also shaped by the structure of the language we use. So in my case, I only know the word awesome is good and fuck is bad, usually. Other than that, I utilize the word shit. That's all I have. I recently added the word aesthetic. Yep. Oh, the revelation of the method. Revelation of the method is, as far as I know, was introduced by James Sowerby Downard to the controversial author Michael Hoffman. So you have to read Secret Societies and Psychological Warfare and King Kill 33 if you guys want to know what the revelation of the method is, which we seem to live through every day. They're changing the use of language, in particular with regard to gender. I had 6 viewers for 1 second. I was almost legit there. Language is breaking down. Worse and worse every year, right? Externalization of the hierarchy. By the way, if you're a longtime conspiracy person, it would be Ma Bressel for the left and Lyndon LaRouche for the right wing in some cases. They were both publish a lot of stuff in their respective camps. So everything Ma Bressel does, and yeah, I know it's everything Lyndon LaRouche does. Don't say I agree with what they both worked on, but they're fascinating. Linguistic minimalism is really coming true. Another interesting thing regarding the Roberto Calevi Propaganda 2 case was Paul the Gorilla Marcinkus. He was a political priest so named because of his King Kong musculature. He was a bodyguard of 2 popes and eventually became archbishop. I gotta look at this picture right now. Oh yeah, you were there for the single-digit times as I become a prophet. I always dream of myself. I'm like the bad guy in Cyborg. He doesn't want society to come back. Remember that? I like the misery. I like the horror. He's one of these villains that they make up. He's like 12 feet tall, all muscle. And then the hero has to fight the guy. Jean-Claude has to fight. They build up these villains that are so tough that how can you mess with them? I mean, then he fights him in the end, and I don't know. I like the horror. Anybody seen that one? Cyborg? It's currently running for free, at least for a while, on the Prime. I gotta look up this guy. Hold on. I've never seen him. What he looks like. The muscular bodyguard priest. Paul the Gorilla Marcinkus. Because he's coming into play because we were talking about Propaganda 2, large Vatican bank, and strange conspiracies. Paul the Gorilla Marcinkus. Wikipedia. He was indicted in the bank scandal. And Archbishop. Nobody earns those nicknames anymore. I'm telling you. Nobody has cool freaking nicknames anymore. That's all I got to say. Stash, I'm one of the last of a dying breed. Okay. Oh, here's an easy way. Okay, Marcinkus is played by actor Rutger Hauer in the film Bankers of God. Well, I'll just put that in there then. Boom Boom? Really? That's fucking awesome. Boom Boom Fulgrim. I don't know if I'm saying your name right. I'm not anti-Catholic or anything. It's just this is interesting stuff. Come on, everybody has corrupt guys. Damn it. 6 kids, Catholic. Tomorrow night, I'm probably going to go in the Merovingians orders. In the priority of Sion. That's not tonight. I'm not prepared for that. But I am roughly prepared to talk about Mary Pinchon Mare. She's kind of a wicked, attractive lover, allegedly, of John F. Kennedy. She was into LSD. She had, by the record, 30 meetings with the late president. Oh, Boom. That's a cool nickname. Stosh. I earned my nickname the hard way. It's also my CIA name code word. Mary Pinchon Mare. Mistress of JFK. She was also the lover of Timothy Leary. Some people say that her and JFK dropped acid together. She was murdered on October 12, 1964. They try to blame it on a black guy. On the scene was found James Jesus Angleton, one of the most mysterious figures of history, head of CIA counterintelligence. There's a number of books that claim he was the guy who had something to do with arranging the JFK hit. It is said that he stole the diary of Mary Pinchon Mare, which probably contains some intimate details about her and JFK and high state secrets that nobody's supposed to know. There's been a book in the last few years about her, and I found it unsatisfying. Maybe I should give it a chance again. Deborah Davis, Catherine the Great book, talked about Mary Pinchon Mare. I forget the name of that book. Catherine the Great. Catherine the Great. That book was suppressed by the CIA and pulverized. I'm sorry, I'm not able to talk about the Merovingians tonight. 6 viewers. Hang on. We're going. Give me a minute. Oh, I dropped 1 viewer when I went away. How you doing, Boom? In God's Name. David Yallop. That was one of the books about the death of the Pope before Pope John Paul, who died 33 days in office. Masonic 33 number because he knew too much. Colonel Edward House, I was going to briefly talk about. He was the man behind the book Philip Drew Administrator, which is kind of an Illuminati paranoia book. He was under President Wilson, who established the Federal Reserve Bank. The Federal Reserve Bank and the Internal Revenue Service, which has forever put our people of our republic under slavery. Telling you, man, the Federal Reserve is not a government entity. It's just like Federal Express, which is private. They print fiat phony money. So the workers all around the country work hard and they save their money and it's not worth shit. End the Fed now. Are they going to shut my YouTube off because I said end the Fed? Okay, the Fed is great. Loan me money. Let's whip out the 15 credit cards with the fiat money. I didn't know that he advocated the Internal Revenue Service. That was on December 23rd, 1913. Creature from Jekyll Island by, I forget the guy's name, is a book to get on that. Guardians of the Grail, the Knights Templar, the Thing, my Baronges. I'm not prepared to talk about that tonight. I know. I'm definitely on all the list. because it's time to talk about the grays. The little grays with the fat gray heads. They're gorgeous. The grays are the most common type of alien life form involved in the close encounter UFO cases. Abductees often report the gray in color, stand about 2 to 5 feet tall with slits for mouths, no noses, huge bug-like eyes. They first appeared in the Hill abduction case. It's Betty and Barney Hill, I think. Typically, people have to get their recovered memory therapist hypnosis. The Hills, Betty and Barney, driving home in New Hampshire, saw a strange light. Yeah. They thought the Greys were wearing Nazi uniforms, but Betty didn't remember that. They're from Zeta Reticuli. I think Bob Lazar said they're from Zeta Reticuli as well. I know. I want to see one too. I know. I've seen and done a lot of weird stuff, but I haven't seen a UFO. It bums me out to no end. We're up to 6 viewers. It's getting hot in here. It's getting hot in here. So take off all your... I can't say that. The Order of the Gray Men. You've got it. Is that a book series by Mark Greaney? The Gray Man or the Little Gray Man? I don't know. I don't know that one. It's not readily an easy Google search. Banco Ambrosio is also connected with the Kalivi case. Ah. This is a very interesting one that I found out by mistake. There was a guy named Larry, Beinhart, Larry Bernhardt. It's kind of like a wag the dog thing, but even more kind of weirder is that he wrote a book called American Hero that is based on the premise that the Gulf War was entirely a Hollywood production. According to revisionist history, Lee Atwater, Republican dirty tricks expert, left a memo at the time of his death to be opened only by President George Bush when he began to lose popularity. The memo outlined how to use Hollywood experts to produce a good war, a war that would be popular, that would have very few American casualties and be over too quickly for organized opposition to undermine a public enthusiasm for the enterprise. Bernhardt even suggested that the Hollywood people picked a desert locale because desert battles are especially photogenic, and that Saddam would bribe to cooperate and play a convincingly Hitler-type villain. Yes, top-notch secret societies are impervious to Google searches. It's a good point. No doubt. Oh, there's a lot of the Order of Nine. There's a lot of secret societies, as you might know. I haven't really checked it out. I got the 2 volumes of that lists hundreds of them. There's hundreds and hundreds of secret societies. No way, really? You can put the NSA in it, and it shows the glass building, but it doesn't. It shows the parking lot and shit. Here's a good Gonzo movie to watch, which would be Buckaroo Banzai Across the 8th Dimension. I'll put that in for you guys. Very, very conspiratorial. Very conspiratorial movie in itself. Not to be missed. Something was very weird about Peter Weller. John Lithgow was, I think, the bad guy. Contained elements of comedy and romance. We lost another viewer. A warning, I was like, good. Buckaroo Banzai. Buckaroo Banzai. Kind of like Repo Man. The hero, Dr. Banzai, is very much like Doc Savage. I've never read anything Doc Savage. But he's like Doc Savage, the 1930s pulps, a great scientist, a brain surgeon, and crime-fighting superhero all into one. More politically correct than Doc Savage, he was not a WASP stereotype, but a multi-ethnic, part Asiatic. Further adds to Doc's achievements also being a rock star and a New Age philosopher. Wherever you go, there you are. That's the kind of shit you write in your high school yearbook, right? The film contains conspiracy theory, but you might skip. I'm about to spoil you. Martian invasion in 1938 was not faked by Orson Welles. It really happened. Among the circles I walk in, the whole Mars is populated now, and the rover is a lie is usually populated. And, you know, the rocks and things suspiciously do look like the motion picture John Carter, Warlord of Mars, and indeed the comic book. Buckaroo Banzai. Back to the novel American Hero, the one that says the Gulf War was fixed. President George Bush is a badass person when you're talking about conspiracies. He's in usually a lot of them. According to the novel and or documentary American Hero, George Bush, the greatest president between Ronald Reagan and Bill Clinton, was in the habit of taking Halcyon, a heavy tranquilizer, with a shot of Scotch whiskey, against all medical advice. This may explain the honest and most touching fact about Mr. Bush, his frequent inability to talk English. Yes, they're all in the Skull and Bones order. The order of the Skull and Bones. Skull and Bones, do you accept or reject? The tallest man in Bones. They call him Long Bones. There's also always a man named Gog, and there's also the man named Magog in the order. And they pick nicknames. Here's an example of the way President George Bush used to speak. You can't be president of the United States if you don't have faith. Remember Lincoln going to his knees in times of trial and the Civil War and all that stuff? You can't be. And we are blessed. So don't cry for me, Argentina. I've got to run now and relax. The doctor told me to relax. The doctor told me to relax. The doctor told me he's the one. He said relax. You're not going to see me put as much, put as much. Oh, yeah, club with nicknames. Well, I guess nicknames are huge when you're in the clubs. A lot of military stuff. Guys, Macho, you have to understand, Macho Men love nicknames. It's like bonding. You gotta earn your nickname. Long Bones, Tall Bones. The Gog and Magog is scary that they use that nickname because it's from Book of Revelation. There's that movie with the spy movie, The Good Shepherd, I think. Angelina Jolie and Matt Damon. They do a Hollywood version of the swearing-in ceremony where the guys are in caskets and they have to tell their most, deepest, starkest secrets. Atheist president. Yeah, I suppose so. I suppose so. Maybe they all are. Maybe they all know, like, who's a... I like how there's these legendary books that you wouldn't want to admit you read, like Chariot of the Gods by Dworkin. I guess we're all just seeds from aliens from Mars that blew over here by mistake. There's also millions of people who love the whole biblical thing. I'm not saying I don't believe it, please. You talk about any of that stuff, you get a lot. I did really mess around, and I did tons of End of the World Planet X videos, and I made them more and more bizarre. And just because I was in the mood to get the 10,000 hits or whatever. I don't know. Elizabeth, we were also talking before. Were you here for The Crying of Lot 49? I recommend that book. I'm going to put that right. Crying of Lot 49. That's by Thomas Pinchon. Paranoid. Very important book if you're in a mood to go gonzo, Paranoid. One of the Times 100 best English language novels from 1923 to 1925. Yeah. I don't like it. I mean, I like it, but I don't like it. I don't know. Oh, God. This thing here. Poppy Bush. I think they were brilliant at that. Yeah, that guy over there. Not gonna do it. Not gonna do it. That guy over there. Skull and Bones. Can't talk about it. It's a secret. I can't talk about it. John Kerry. I didn't hear Shrub. I thought It was Poppy. We can't not talk about the Council of Foreign Relations since we're talking about conspiracy stuff. Council on Foreign Relations, founded in 1921, grew out of the roundtable groups of Cecil Rhodes and the tireless energy of Colonel Edward House that me and Pedro were talking about. Seen by themselves and their propagandists or friends, the roundtable groups in general aimed at securing a new world order. New world order. I have slideshow videos of craziness where he's like, new world order. New world order. Not gonna do it. In which previous chaos of international anarchy would give way to stability and peace. Just as Pedro, I think, was talking about. The revolution of the method would be when the overlords show you what they're going to do, and you know it, and they still do it anyway, and you let them get away with it. Because why? Because we're all pussies. That's why. According to other critics, the purpose of the CFR and other roundtable groups, like the Royal Institute and the Institution of Affairs. By the way, I know everybody out there is Beatles fans. It was nothing but a thing that was created in the Tavistock Institute. The Beatles is bullshit. So is the Grateful Dead. Just kidding. Milli Vanilli was also created by the Mafia. And Vanilla Ice is a product of the Illuminati. To lower the IQs of the people. Ice, Ice Baby. How many cool songs have been ripped off from Rick James? I realize Rick James went to jail and he was evil, which is a shame. Everybody rips his shit off. Everybody. Come on. MC Hammer is Rick James. Okay? Vanilla Ice, Rick James. Yeah. The CFR, one of these insider groups. Everybody's in it. Do I think it means anything? I don't know. I like the way guys fight over it. No, it's the Club of Rome. No, it's the Gnomes of Zurich. No, it's the Illuminati. It's the Jesuits. It's the Rockefellers. Every guy has a favorite one that they like to say. By the way, Pedro, I like Zbigniew Brzezinski. Everybody flips over that he's evil. You got to read his books. He just says what's happening. That's all. I can't stand it. They try to blame everything on Zbigniew Brzezinski. That's bullshit. He's a good Polish man. He was for America being number one. He wasn't an international. They try to blame everything on Zbigniew Brzezinski. A good Polish man. Was he a hard ass? Yes. Guys are going to be like, you're on this video. The book that every conspiracy guy refers to is Between Two Ages, the Techniconic Era. Everything he talks about in there is happening now, in a sense. The disease warfare. It's right. But he was a tough guy. He was for America kicking ass. He basically said that Al-Qaeda was not a big threat, but China was, all right? Conspiracy guys, get mad at me in the chat. Tell me why you blame everything on Zbigniew Brzezinski. It's such a cop-out. The popular visionary expert, popular Jay Dyer guy blocked me on the Twitter for calling him on it. Trying to blame everything on him. Zbigniew Brzezinski. David Icke talks about him all the time. Zbigniew Brzezinski. Conspiracy theory stuff is complete bullshit and entertainment. You heard it right here. It's just sensationalism. They've never come up with anything. They've never done anything. Yeah. The legendary guy, there's a book that they just wrote about Bill Cooper. A lot of the rappers and very popular guys are into him. I think he thought that Jackie Kennedy was the one who shot JFK. Very fascinating stuff. And I think he went down much like Randy Weaver did. Killed. But he was for real, I guess. But it's hard to say if he was nutty. Alex Jones is the most popular guy. He's always interesting, and I like his style. I like people who listen to him, and I got nothing against him, but he's admitted that he's an entertainer, so that's troubling. Should they throw him off the YouTube? I don't know. I think Joe Rogan's most popular, or one of his more popular one, his most popular one, of course, is Elon Musk, I think. But the interview he did with Jones is fascinating. And he looked like he was kind of going off the deep end, but he's always interesting. And that's what I don't get. Just let the guy talk. The American people should be able to discern whether or not it's baloney or not. And if you censor him, then he gets interesting to people. And what troubles me the most is people don't know enough and read enough and do enough to know when the guy's putting them on or not. So I think you should be able to hear him. They just got the David Knight guy, to my understanding, that they kicked him off the air. Why do they kick all these guys off the air? I hope they don't delete me for talking about Gonzo conspiracy. Hey, my printer just went on without me turning it on. I would love to have a show with Alex Jones, but I have to call him on that. He free advertisement. Yeah, in all seriousness, let's look him up. Isn't Alex Jones one of the most popular people in the world or some crap like that? Let's see. Alex Jones. Let's put him in the Google. Alex Jones. Alex Emmerich or Emmerich Jones. He was born in 1974. He's a far-right conspiracy theorist. He's a radio host. He's a badass. He protests mail-order businesses. He definitely sells a lot of vitamins. Doesn't really say how popular he is. I was just interested in how popular. Okay, here's the truth about Jones, okay? So people make fun of Jones. That's bullshit because, let's see. Jones is the publisher and director of InfoWars website. The InfoWars website receives approximately 10 million monthly visits, making its reach more extensive than mainstream news websites such as The Economist and Newsweek. Okay, so they said that says InfoWars has been described as fake news. It's been accused of spreading conspiracy theories. To court testimonies in 2014, InfoWars has revenues of over $20 million a year. So if you're a cool guy, you're a skeptic, and you go on, you say he's preposterous. In 2011, he had a larger online audience than Glenn Beck and Rush Limbaugh combined. Really? So he's huge. He had a physical altercation with Shirek Yurgar of the Young Turks. He's friends with Trump. He's friends with Joe Rogan. He's been in litigation. In April of 2017, the Chobani Yogurt Company filed against Jones for his claims that their factory in Idaho is employing refugees connected to child sex assault and tuberculosis rise. He issued an apology. I didn't know that. You got it? Okay, so in February of 2017, James Alafadis, the owner of the Comet Ping Pong Pizzeria, sent Jones demanding a letter of apology and retraction of his advocacy for the Pizzagate conspiracy theory. What am I going to say about it? I'm not going to say I believe in Pizzagate, but we've seen the Epstein Island. Is the Epstein Island fake? Perhaps Jones as Mr. Big is fake. He was they put up the counter and challenged us to counter the real conspiracy. Yeah. Oh, on the record, the CIA who promulgated the phrase conspiracy theory as a smear phase. Yeah, that's right. If you want to talk about anything, they call you conspiracy theorists, and you can't say anything. I guess he was a bodybuilder, and now he's, kind of bigger. I don't know. I would love to be on Alex Jones's show. I don't know if the global warming is a complete hoax. The weather looks fucked up. I would like to see all the footage they have on the JFK, not just the Zabruta film, right? Have you guys heard the bit that Bill Hicks did on it? When you become president, they take you in a room and they show you the Zabruta film, but a different one from another angle. You become president and then you get scared. It's an awesome bit. I don't know, Alex Jones, there's no middle ground with that guy. People either hate him and they go after and they hate him, or they love him. I just, I find him interesting. I'm just, that case where he came out and said, I'm an entertainer and I have mental problems because of the, let me see if it's on here. That's troubling to me. Alex Jones, Sandy Hook. We got a lawsuit. He had to pay $100,000 or something. Conspiracy promoter and right-wing personality Alex Jones has been ordered to pay $100,000 in court costs and legal fees stemming from a lawsuit over his claims that the 2012 Sandy Hook massacre of school children was a hoax. I think he said worse than that. I don't know. Entertainer. He said, I'm an entertainer. There's a war on for your mind. Oh, I've heard that. Yep. People. 5 watching. I know. Mel. That movie is so paranoid. Yeah, that's what people say. Alex interviewed Bill Cooper. And I think before he died, Bill Cooper was upset with Alex, right? The killing of the King ritual. Yes. I have... Oh, I've got 3,250 views on my King Kill 33 Ritual Murder JFK James Shalway Dower thing. I did not know that. Check it out. I do have one, Pedro. King Kill 33. And Marilyn Manson has that song. There's a fascinating book, History of Secret Societies by Archon Druel. And the cover contains a very scary, well-known photograph done by Austin Osman Spear of the death pose in the front. And I was wondering, no, not the death pose. He has just some picture of a spirit that's just done very well. Very spooky. That's a good book. I'll be talking about that one night soon. I could base a whole night off that. Love that book. But at the beginning, he goes, this is sensationalist. The Illuminoids is a very good for the paranoid. That contains more information on the fact that President Washington was actually secretly murdered and replaced by Adam Weishaupt himself, head of the Order of Illuminati of Bavaria. Bill Cooper. Behold a Pale Horse was his book, and they did another one called that about his life recently. Apparently a lot of the very popular rappers and different guys, probably among them Professor Grift of NWA, was, I believe, a fan of Bill Cooper. I'm sure Pedro is familiar with the book going way back, Children of the Matrix, that more or less turned David Icke, which I used to think his name is Icky or Ick. Everybody reads it thinks his name is Icke, but it's David Icke. Very, very famous for his lizard theory. Probably the guy's a millionaire from his lizard thing. Yes. Blake Troop, MMA God. Public Enemy. Oh, do I get that right? Right. They were Public Enemy is a big fan of Bill Cooper, right, Blake? Yeah. Professor Grift himself. Eric John Phillips talking about Alex Jones. I haven't heard that. Professor Grift himself goes on Coast to Coast AM and he talks about stuff. He's heavy. But yet they promote Flavor Flav. And they roast him. And he married Brigitte Nielsen. Yet Professor Grift suffers from forced anonymity. He just seems like a much more serious guy, right? Yeah. Grift and PE from Wu-Tang Clan. Wu-Tang Clan t-shirt has to be one of the most popular t-shirts in the world. Probably even more than the Brady 2 thing. Cool t-shirt. And I think they sponsored the re-digital mastering of a lot of decent kung fu movies. I would imagine Professor Grift's videos have been thrown off of YouTube, right? Anti-Illuminism. I think now is the worst for this stuff. You can't say anything. I mean, you can't... There's just some standard things like they did was it Popular Mechanics or the History Channel did the thing that it was one bullet. The one bullet traveled around and got Kennedy. You can't now. Everything is just like one way or the other. People are so unflexible. Can't discuss anything. It's a free country. We should be able to have Jones everywhere if we want them. But I tune in once in a while. I like the guy with the beard. He was all right. They fired him for some reason. So I don't know. I just hate if you tune into anything you want to do and just certain people just give you a hard time, and I don't like that at all. I mean, do I meddle in their business? Did I tell them they can't watch Rachel Maddow? I have to confess that I think Rachel Maddow's kind of pretty. I know. She probably is not a big fan of Alex Jones, unless, of course, they would be secretly friends, though, I suppose. Earwicker Blimecraft. That is something that they shout in the Illuminatus trilogy, and was something involved with flower power. That's the circle with the thing for peace. Some people say that's a blasphemy against Christ or something. Upside down cross. I don't know. The Ishmaeli dope fiends of the Hashishans achieved illumination. Flower power. They say Mayor Richard Daley of Chicago shouted Earwicker Blimecraft during his off-the-phone Michael diatribe against Senator Abraham Ribicoff during the 1968 Democratic Party convention. And it's also mentioned, of course, as the slogan of the Illuminatus trilogy. Ike in German for oak. Immortal Technique. Bush knocked down the towers. That was his song. He was huge a long time ago, Immortal Technique. I notice now that nobody cares about 9/11. I notice now that nobody cares about ISIS or Al-Qaeda. They're just mad at Trump. What the hell happened to ISIS and Al-Qaeda? Nobody gives a shit about them now. They're on hold. All right? I don't know why. Maybe the country's weak and all divided now, and they'll attack. There is. I hope these Gonzo conspiracies aren't getting me in trouble. Because now it's time to talk about the Yuri Nyusinko case. Yuri Nyusinko KGB is a movie starring Tommy Lee Jones and some unknown guy as the Russian KGB agent Yuri Nyusinko. James Jesus Angleton created a witch hunt within the Central Intelligence Agency. Some say he's a hero and a genius, and there really was a mole. And later on, there was Hansen and Ames. So the agency certainly was compromised. Certainly the Walker spy family. The U.S. Navy wondered, how did the Soviets always know where our ships were and shadow us and everything? Well, it's because the Walker spy family sold a lot of shit to the Soviets, the Russians, the KGB, the GRU, whatever. Yuri Nyusinko came in. He was a double agent, or he defected. And they locked the guy in a little outhouse somewhere in Virginia for years. Certainly some agency people had commented that If this guy gets out, he's going to sue the shit out of the agency. Angleton always thought he was a mole. And I forget the character Tommy Lee Jones was playing, but You're in Your Cinco KGB is a good movie if you like a slow-moving movie with a lot of thoughts that really says something that isn't a piece of shit. It's a good movie. So there's two camps. Some people like James Jesus Angleton, and some people like Colby, who fired him later. Some people say Cinco was a hero. He defected, and he was legit, and they just locked him in the outhouse and gave him a lot of shit. The Aspen Institute. I like it. I think I've heard of that. S-P-E-N Institute. Oh, it's an international non-for-profit organization for humanistic studies. The Aspen Institute is an international non-profit organization founded in 1949. The Institute and its international partners promote the creation of a free, just, equitable society in a non-partisan, non-ideological setting through seminars, public programs, conferences, leadership development initiatives in Aspen, Colorado. I would say they're definitely the Illuminati. It's largely funded by foundations like the Carnegie Corporation, the Rockefeller Brothers Fund, the Gates Foundation, other think tanks. I would love to be in a think tank. Why don't they hire me? They should pay me a fortune. The Aspen, oh yeah. They had a party during the 200th birthday of German poet and philosopher Johann Wolfgang von Goethe, author of Candide and Dr. Faustus, I believe. They like that Bauhaus artist stuff that looks bizarre. They love it. Anything with a lot of philanthropic stuff and doing a lot of goodness and global stuff is obviously usually evil and bullshit, right? By the way, the Rand Institute thinks that, I know, she's not bad looking. She probably would hate me, though. The Jamie Hurt, Lee Curtis look. Yeah. I think she really still never really got over the whole Bob Mueller thing. How many pictures were they going to show the public of Bob Mueller brooding? I make no comment yay or nay by this, you know. I'm just here for you, Rachel, if you change your mind. You're going up in 134.03. Immortal Technique was barred from entering Canada some years back, as Alex Jones was. Yeah, I guess Canada, they don't really like any kind of discussions. There's another weird thing about Alex Jones is that the whole Bohemian Grove thing, which he got famous for, where they go to the Grove up there in Washington State with the huge trees, this fantastic spooky thing, and they do a ritual, the cremation of care, and they have the Moloch deity there, and they do a kind of a psychodrama there. I've heard from people up there that it's no big deal, and they have buses and stuff, and he just went up there. I don't know, but I think it launched him into fame. And the weird thing was he was there with his girlfriend, and they went there, and they had a camera, and they went in, and it is scary and everything, but I think it's definitely overdone. Dramatic bullshit. I don't know. A lot of people are pagan and weird, so it was, Alex Jones' crowd probably is former military, maybe evangelicals or something, so they freaked out. I mean, you see the thing, and, it definitely makes everybody want to look at it, the Bohemian Grove. Valerie Plame, whose husband was the ambassador, CIA agent woman who had her cover blown, her husband was in the downtown San Francisco club, that's for sure. The Bohemian Club there. But anyway, Jones went to the Bohemian Grove with John Ronson. John Ronson, who's a guy who writes a lot of books that, kicks ass on the conspiracy guys, and, he's a good writer, and he's, very well spoken, and he's funny, and he almost kind of looks like the comic Emo Phillips. Oh, the spy catcher. Yeah, he was involved with the Philby case, right? I didn't know he died after that. That was a big novel. Everybody wanted to know about the Cambridge Five. I didn't know he died. Ooh, spy catcher. Well, that's legit. That's no Alex Jones stuff. Sorry, Alex, if you're mad at me. Let me on your show. If you have any guts, I'll debate you, Alex. Right now. What were you doing at the Grove with John Ronson, a debunker? John Ronson's books are anti-conspiratorial, but they're just as interesting, whether you like conspiracies or hate them. I gotta admit, John Ronson shit is interesting, and he is the prime mover and main guy who wrote that they got the Men Who Stare at Goats movie at, which was about a legit thing. The remote viewing was the military's way of doing things that yogis and swamis and Taoists do. Stink tanks. By the way, the Rand Corp is a big think tank. They technically say that Russia and China in a war would kick our ass. I don't know. There's where you hope the conspiracy stuff is real, right? Deep down, us guys who get called conspiracy, or whatever I am, Gonzo, a weirdo, I think deep down we hope, all of us as Americans hope that they've got some heavy-duty shit at Groom Lake and Area 51 so we don't get our ass kicked, right? Therein is the hypocrisy. You become an Alex Jones fan and a fan of this and that, and you go after Dr. Zbigniew Brzezinski and you go crazy. But deep down, we hope that they've got some stuff that can handle China and Russia, maybe even India coming up fast. Amazing GDPs. Come on, what if Japan makes a comeback? I'm just saying. Everybody says, oh, they've got... I hope they've got... What if they don't? What if the F-35 fighter sucks? I made two videos on here that are controversial, that the F-35 is too expensive and it sucks. In dogfights, it got its ass kicked by the old, reliable, sturdy, and tough F-16 fighting Falcon. I don't know. I recently just talked to some Air Force guys, and they said, no, it works. And this may be anti-American blasphemy. I consider myself a great American patriot. But I got to admit, at least visually, the Russian Su-Sukhoi aircraft, their latest fifth-generation aircraft, is definitely a lot better looking than the F-35, but that doesn't mean shit. And I noticed to my disappointment, in the next Tom Cruise movie, he doesn't fly an F-35. Why not? He's in an F-18, which is reliable. Are we going to make it to 200 minutes? I hope not. But I hope so. All right, so no conspiracy theory night would be complete without mentioning Elle, Fletcher, Prouty. Not only was he a conspiracy guy and a tough-looking guy and a pilot, but he looked cool. He served as Chief of Special Operations for the Joint Chiefs of Staff under President John F. Kennedy, former colonel in the United States Air Force. He retired from military service to become a bank executive. He subsequently became a critic of U.S. foreign policy, particularly the covert activities of the Central Intelligence Agency, about which he had considerable inside knowledge. Prouty is indeed the inspiration for the character Mr. X in Oliver Stone's JFK. He's from Springfield, Mass. He went to University of Wisconsin-Madison, and he went to University of Massachusetts Amherst when it didn't suck. His books are absolutely fascinating. Two of his most important books, in my view, is The Secret Team, the CIA and its allies in control of the United States and the world. Basically, in that book, he outlines how all of the major academic institutions, news outlets, shipping companies, and all that is usually tied to the agency in some ways. His other fascinating, important book is JFK, the CIA, Vietnam, and the plot to assassinate John F. Kennedy. As I can recall, there's a very interesting chapter in that book where he says the powers that be in the world got into trouble because they all became nuclear capable, and it was kind of a Mexican standoff for all these huge countries, powerful countries that possess nuclear weapons. So there became a problem, how to get rid of people. So Prouty, in that book, JFK, the CIA, Vietnam, and the plot to assassinate him, with the introduction to Oliver Stone, who is a good movie director. If you haven't seen it, see Oliver Stone's JFK movie. Oh, I lost 2 people because of that rant. You want to also see Wild Palms, directed by Oliver Stone. Giving out a lot of information tonight. Man X is Elle, Fletcher, Prouty. You're still here, Elizabeth. Otherwise known as Boom Boom. Boom, 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 boom. Ah ha ha ha. I'm gonna shoot you right down. Ah ha ha ha. Oh yeah. I'm the healer. The Ordo Temporale Orientalis. There's a guy that made contact with me, and I went on these cats radio show from London or England somewhere, and one of the guys who went under the moniker Zero, he was in the OTO, and he said it was kind of like culty and things like that. Highly intelligent guy. I guess he quit it, whatever it is. I was talking about Kenneth Grant, who was outer head of the OTO. If you talk to occultists, a lot of them don't like Grant, and I guess they got into it with him. Outer head of the OTO. I'd like to be that. I'm the outer head. I'm the outer head. Who's the boss of the inner head of the OTO? Well, that's the secret one that can't be revealed. Who the hell wants to be the outer head? You obviously want to be the inner head. William Guy Carr. None dare call it conspiracy way back in the 1950s. Colonel Carr brought to us the notion that there's a baby black market, which is really creepy. And I think it's in that book. None dare call it conspiracy. Baby black market. It's one of the more creepy things. I don't know if he brought forth as an idea that there's a woman high up and protected by the government that poses as the avatar of the whore of Babylon. Downard talks about that. I don't know about Colonel William Guy Carr. He's got a couple of good ones, right? But none dare call it conspiracy. No, it's not. No, none dare call it conspiracy. Isn't that the other one that got everybody started? I don't know. Let's look him up right now together, Pedro. William Guy Carr. I think he was a colonel, right? The Canadian Air Force or some Air Force. There's no cool guys like these guys anymore. Everybody's boring. William Guy Carr, Commander Carr, was an English-born Canadian naval officer, author, and conspiracy theorist. Writing about the American Illuminati, anti-communist. International conspiracy, Satanism, stuff like that. Red Fog Over America. No, it's not one. It's not. He didn't write None Dare Call It Conspiracy. That's the other guy. He wrote Red Fog Over America, Pawns in the Game. None Dare Call It Conspiracy is the other guy. None Dare Call It Conspiracy. That's Gary Allen. Gary Allen. More or less, the United Nations is a commie thing or something like that, right? Fletcher, Prouty on the con game of fossil fuels. Oh, yeah. Professor Anthony Sutton wrote a book about how the fossil fuels are abundant and it's all a bunch of crap. $10 We're almost there. We're going to go for the 200 minutes. No Gonzo conspiracy night would be complete until we talked about the Great Seal of the United States. The mysterious, seemingly Freemasonic design of the eye-on pyramid on the reverse of the Great Seal of the United States and on the back of the dollar bill since 1935 has become a symbol of the conspiracy theories in general. Let's face it, it is scary looking, and all throughout the country, kids and bands make awesome stickers of the all-seeing eye. It's one of the most sticker-tagged things in the world, right? Largely because nobody really understands it. Yeah, nobody knows what it is. It's just watching us, the all-seeing eye, the eye of Sauron, the eye of Horus. According to the Department of State, the pyramid really represents strength and endurance. The pyramid is unfinished because the United States will always grow more perfect. The eye at the top represents divine guidance. In short, the government sees itself as strong, enduring, ever-empowering, and divinely guided. The inscription Annuit Comptuus means he is favored. He has favored our undertakings, and Novus Ordo Seclorum, which means a new world order, a new order of the ages. What the hell is that? I think it's the Eye of Sauron. Some conspiracy, or something like that. Obviously, the eye is looking down on the people and shitting on the little guy. Come on! Some conspiracy buffs on the right doubt all this. The all-seeing eye is the eye of an ideally totalitarian government. Like, remember that? That guy had the total information awareness or something. The guy that was involved in the Iran-Contra thing. Poindexter. He was making the software thing that we'd all just own. Yeah, I'm sure that YouTube and sorry YouTube, YouTube isn't involved in all that shit. The Illuminati, the Inside, the Brotherhood, the Overlords, the superstructure, the big guys. Mr. Big and Mr. Bigger Big. The old ones, the ancient ones, the deep ones. Novo Oris Seclorum means New World Order. They repeated the use of the 13 design does not evoke the 13 original states, but 13 members of a secret satanic coven. I don't know if they have any evidence of that, but it sounds good. Since there is some genuine mystery about how we got this Great Seal, legends have appeared to add more glamour to the mystery. For instance, UFOologist Virginia Brysington gives an amusing occult language. The Great Seal. The Great Seal was known. The eagle on the reverse of the eye of the parent in the reverse. Jefferson got the design. He said, from a man in black in the garden. A man of mystery. A wise man. A Count Cagliostro. A Count de Saint-Germain. A Giacomo Casanova. A Goth. And Anton Mesmer, all Illuminatus. Illuminati. Illuminati. As you may suspect, I am, of course, of the order. Of course I'm in the order. I'm in all that shit. Pawns in the game, yeah. I could never get into Guy Car stuff. I don't know. I'm not just saying that because I'm a pussy. I'm just saying, I don't know, it's kind of dense. But the baby black market was referenced by James Shelby Downard, who is very weird and popular. And Marilyn Manson gets the song King Kill 33 from the book King Kill 33 by Downard. So they say. Just like Mary Shelley of Frankenstein, the great Prometheus, or the new Prometheus, or whatever she called it, she was highly influenced by the major conspiracy man of the day, the Abbe Baril, who wrote another book. There's only really two books that we get. His book on the Illuminatus, which I forget, and Proofs of a Conspiracy by Professor John Robinson, who was an English Freemason. He kind of said there was a little bit different. The Freemasonry in England was a little bit different than the one on the continent, kind of. That Adams Weishamp's people, one of his men, one of his couriers was hit by lightning, and therefore the government of Bavaria was able to get a certain amount of the paperwork from the infamous Bavarian Illuminati sect. Therefore, they were then outlawed and said to have gone underground. There's actually really no direct proof of it, but some people say that they went underground and they rose up again over in France as the Jacobeans, who were involved in the French Revolution, allegedly. The Jacobin are very popular amongst the academics worldwide. Let them eat cake. Did you really say that? The affair of the necklace. I believe it is the Illuminist man, Count Cagliostro, who set up Marie Antoinette, part of it, and then she was guillotined in kind of a PR battle. They cut her head off. It's been said that the French Revolution killed some ordinary priest and killed some of the royals and the rich people, but it was mostly poor people who killed each other. Pearl necklace. Oh, yeah, the pearl necklace. The affair of the necklace. That woman who was a big actress played her, right? The Eye of the Great Architect. The Eye of Providence. I know. I don't know what that is. I was in a huge cathedral in Vienna, actually right down the street from where Mozart lived, and I saw the Eye of the Providence in there. And I didn't know what it was. The band ZZ Top is Illuminatus. Most of the information I'm gathering tonight is, of course, from Robert Anton Wilson. Everything is under control. And some of it's my own notes. And he himself was involved with some weird stuff. In that, I think he was involved in the Discordian thing. Kerry Thonley was a guy who wrote about Oswald before the assassination, and he was a Discordian. So I don't know about Robert Anton Wilson. Do we trust him? His sense of humor was incredible. I think he died rather poor. One of the last people to talk to him is a guy that I roughly know, named Adam Gorightly, who writes a lot about the Principia Discordia. I don't know if he's a subgenius guy, but he's one of the last guys to interview Robert Anton Wilson, who's a fascinating guy. I'll be right with you. I lost a lot of viewers. The Eye of the Great Architect and How the Masons' Rosicrucians Couch It. I think a lot of people say that John Dee, the Rosicrucian, is the one who started the Masons. Or the whole lure of it, that he's a high-up Rosicrucian. He was the court astrologer for Queen Elizabeth. The main people who are concerned with the cultum are Alpheus Levi, John Dee, yeah, Operation Galdaldo. Yes. Gladio, sorry. That's a very extensive alleged CIA operation that, yeah. Operation Gladio and the Gemstone File. There's a lot of weird stuff like that. We were talking earlier about Propaganda 2, P2. There's a lot of weird stuff like that. When Operation Northwoods, yeah, that they were going to use a fake assassination to get a war going. Big countries often fake attacks or assassinations to get wars going. It's now almost admitted that the Gulf of Tonkin, which allegedly the father of Jim Morrison, the admiral guy, was involved in, had the role of starting the conflict in Vietnam, Southeast Asia. A lot of people say it was phony. Speaking about Aleister Crowley, Secret Agent 666, it says that, or contends that Crowley knew about the sinking of the Lusitania, and that got World War I going. And of course, Hitler had a false attack by the Poles, Gleistowitz or something. Gleistowitz, that town. to get that going. Oh, God, the left wing, right wing, am I sick of it? Nobody can even talk anymore. You have to take one side, or that's it. It's disgusting. It's very bad. And to be a thinker is forbidden, is thought crime itself. Operation Northwoods. It's best explained in the Bamford book on the NSA. Yeah, you can't be in the middle. Stuck in the middle, which incidentally, is anybody with me now? If you listen to terrestrial radio anytime, it's getting worse. The tunes are getting worse. Anybody else got anything? Strategy of tension, yes. That is very popular. I do have to say that that left-right Hegelian dialectic thing that David Icke talks about is much more complicated than he talks about. I gotta admit that. So when people think they got that down, it's that easy. Control, they'll be like controlled chaos. I do have to say, in my opinion, Hegel is not that easy to get down. It's a little more complicated. You have to be careful with that. Dialectism has a lot more to do with it. But his, it's all interesting. It should be all available to the public in this free republic. I hope this video doesn't get banned. ZZ Top is the Illuminati? Pawns in the game. The strategy of tensions. Yeah. We also can't disregard the fact that there's a lot of people having problems. When professional propagandists, according to Jacques Ellul, in his book Propaganda, once professional propagandist gets going, that's it. There's going to be a war. They know how to get it going. It's another book that should be read, as well as Edward Bernays' Propaganda. I think he's the one who brought us that. Raw talks on YouTube. Yeah. They always mock that. Because conspiracy people who are into it, we have to admit, they often are a little nutty. And they do believe that they can understand the Hegelian dialectic by just reading David Icke. When Hegel is a little bit more complicated than that, I must admit. Watch some of the Raw talks on YouTube. I gotta say, which one is that? Raw, R-A-W? I'll look that up. Raw talks. Raw talk. Is that the wrestling? Oh, yeah. Right, I've heard that too. Somebody just told me that even the Kabbalah is not that old. It's written by Isaac Luria or something. I'm not solid on that. Sometimes I think it's really old. But D goes back, right? Yes. Edward Bernays. He's like the nephew of Sigmund Freud, right? Hey, my printer just went on again without me asking. What the hell's going on? Yeah. He's a genius. Jacques Ellul, again, what's another book that you can, The Madness of Crowds. I forget who wrote that one. That's good for understanding. Or Gustave Le Bon. Was that the guy's name? Crowds. There's another more recent book that talks about how people don't get together. Bowling Alone. Now we don't do anything together. This is the way we're talking now through these things. Life is going to be a continual Zoom meeting now. This is a nightmare. Oh, United Fruit Company. Yeah. Oh, the United Fruit Company. They owned all of Latin America. I do a bit on that, but nobody liked. I talked about like how I'm a CIA guy, and it would be like, it would be $50 for this melon if it wasn't for me. I'm doing that. I'm writing a script now for a comedy thing where the guy's going to say that, but nobody will understand it. I find that people don't understand anything unless it's broken down for them by a celebrity. We're up to 6 viewers tonight. Mitzvah Pizza Sauce is a new guy. Pedro. Elizabeth Boom Boom. Hopefully the YouTube doesn't delete this video. I think it was all fun. I'm not condoning or condemning Alex Jones. Would love to be on a show. I'd love to be on Joe Rogan. He took my friend's paper out, by the way. I don't think I said anything huge on here, but I don't know. Maybe they don't like it. Maybe they don't like anything now. I don't know. Poof. I could talk all night, guys. Are we coming back on tomorrow night, or is that too much? You know what? I will radio people if I'm coming on. I've got 6 followers tonight with 6 fucking effing thumbs up. At this point, does it really matter if they take down this YouTube? They're taking down everything. I don't know. If there is such a new oh, I got 7 viewers. If there is such thing as a new world order, I must be helping them with this weird video, huh? You see, he doesn't know what he's talking about. It is funny that they have a lot of scary things in fiction. And then they tell you that it's not scary. Alex Jones promoted QAnon and now turns on them in his latest. So now I know that QAnon has been a psyop all along. I never really got into the whole QAnon thing. Yeah. Oh, Macabre, that's a cool name. John Doe. We were on all night, John Doe. We did the Assassins, Hashish. Nothing is true, everything is permitted. We did the Propaganda Do. Roberto Galivi, God's banker, who was hung on the Blackfriars Bridge. We briefly discussed Alex Jones and whether or not his lawsuit renders him moot. But at least I decided by gabbing through this thing that people should be able to watch him if they are not. We didn't do Pizzagate. We didn't do QAnon. The Assassins. We did a lot of Robert Anton Wilson stuff. We talked about Kenneth Grant, how he was disliked as head of the outer order of the OTO. We talked about Jacques Ellul and propaganda, how they can deliver war at any time. We talked about Edward Bernays, who said, "You've come a long way, baby, and it's very empowering to smoke." He also he did an ad for hair nets, and he had connections with people who made it a law that you got to wear a hairnet if you work at a restaurant in the back, which I think is good. You don't want hair in your pancakes and shit. But so he had some political pull too, and he was the nephew of Gustave Le Bon, The Crowd. Yeah. What else did we talk about? We did not do the Merovingians, and we did not do the priority of Sion. We briefly went into the all-seeing eye. We talked about Bohemian Grove. Lizard people of the southern Baka tribes? No. That sounds awesome. I did do Children of the Matrix, David Icke. I have not seen it personally, but I have friends that have personally said that they've seen Bush fucking shapeshift. And that Queen Elizabeth, although she may look frail, is a 9-foot-tall reptilian entity from the Draco galaxy. We didn't do Bob Lazar tonight. I theorized on the fact that conspiracy theorist people secretly hope that we have the kind of technology that they think they have in Groom Lake and Area 51, so we don't get our ass kicked by China and Russia. We went over that. What else did we do? Harem Abif, the widow's son, is the code word of the Masons. We talked about From Hell. Talked about John Robertson, Proofs of Conspiracy. We talked about Abbe Burrell. I kind of went into how he influenced Mary Shelley, who later would write Frankenstein. Professor Frankenstein was a professor at the Bavarian Institute of Ingolstadt, and that's also the... No, I didn't know that one either. That's pretty cool. I did talk about the Thuggee group from India and the Assassins. The great builder, Harem Abrif, you have to give the code word. Are you the widow's son? Also how the Temple of Solomon is holder of all the major secrets. So John Doe's got some good ones. Is that the band Oingo Boingo? I don't know that one. I'm not... I know some of it. I know Baron Samonde. I enjoyed the Voodoo Doctor from Live and Let Die. And I've been to NOLA. I know that you need a John the Cockroot. And I know how to be a Hoochie Coochie Man. Although a lot of the African hoodoo or voodoo, I consider it cultural. So I feel weird trying to be a Polish witch doctor. But I love it all. I'm more familiar with it, you know, down to the crossroads. Umbongo is particularly famous for its long-running jiggle of Umbongo, Umbongo. They drink it in the Congo. A juice drink made by Nestle. Doesn't everything Nestle make kills you or something? The lizard. This is good. The lizard people of southern Bunker Tribe. You got some good ones, man. I lost a listener. Bungo from the Congo. If you've got me in a joke on this, you're kicking my ass. These are pretty good. Oh, the Aka, or Baka, the Meridian Pigment people. They live in Central Africa. Oh, reptilian humanoids. Are you perhaps... Papa Lanska, are you perhaps also... Are you talking about Krito Magwa? The African shaman who David Icke got a lot of a shtick from. He talks about they look like this Dark Maul. Dark Maul. Dark Maul. You know what? I thought about him in Star Wars, the one with Liam Neeson and the other guy. They cheated. The two good guys attacked the one bad guy. Nobody brings that up. It was 2-on-1. Then they killed Darth Maul. Anyway, Krita Mangwa from the David Icke fame, well, he's a shaman that I think brought that idea that turned him into a superstar, which is that people are shape-shifting lizards. Which, if you do too much drugs, you can see them, or do enough drugs, depending on how you look at it. Well, we're going on 2 hours, 15 minutes, 43 seconds. I think I'm going to call it quits. It's about 10:30. I hope this was helpful. We got a lot of new listeners. John Doe, if you put that information you got in the liner notes, or if you got a channel. Hair, lip. I never heard that. I know the Hurahite or whatever. Or how about the one that looks like the check out In Voodoo We Trust. I suspect he runs. Take care. All right, John Doe, if you got stuff, put in the line if you want. You got a lot of good stuff. Pizza Sauce, good to meet you. Macabre, I like that symbol you got on there. I think we've got to all go in. Let's pool our resources and talk about Saturn soon. That everything is Saturn. I find that fascinating. Glad we got pretty big tonight. I hope you enjoyed my stuff. You guys know your stuff too. I mean, we went upwards of 7.7 listeners tonight. That's unheard of for me because I have one of the most unpopular channels on all of YouTube. Thank you for talking to me. I was lonely. I might get on for another long rap tomorrow night and revisit some of this stuff. The German secret societies and everything. I have. Let's start talk maybe tomorrow night or. But good night, Elizabeth. I want to do Saturn night soon. Hope I didn't offend anybody. If you like Alex Jones, whatever, they're all okay to me. Freedom of speech. And everybody should love each other. The left and the right need to get together. Democrat, Republican, we all need to be friends. I'm not in the mood for any big fight. I'm for peace. All right, guys. Thanks for coming on and talking to me. Pedro, Gustav LeBron, the crowd. See you guys soon. Hope I didn't chat too long. Maybe tomorrow night, 8 o'clock, we do it again. Good night, everybody.